Effective ventilators, counterfeit medicine and unreliable tests. The World Health Organization warns corruption during the COVID-19 pandemic is putting millions of people in danger.
Corruption related to PPE, life-saving, for me, it's actually a murder. Because if health workers work without PPE, we're risking their lives.
Medical supplies are just the tip of the iceberg. The UN Office on Drugs and Crime says the billions in government spending rolled out in record time is being misappropriated at record rates.
To save lives and livelihoods, governments are spending and fast-tracking economic stimulus packages. Corruption is targeting these emergency measures, weakening vital health and social systems with lethal consequences.
Investigators say corruption has disastrous effects on a country's economy and politics. The Corruption Perceptions Index map shows where trust is at its highest and lowest. A court in the Somali capital Mogadishu sentenced 4 health ministry officials to up to 18 years in prison over corruption and theft of public money donated to curb the COVID-19 outbreak. Indonesia's social affairs minister turned himself in after being accused of accepting bribes in connection with the purchase of $420 million worth of goods.
Saya tidak akan melindungi.
I will not protect those who are involved in corruption, and we believe that the Corruption Eradication Commission works in a transparent and professional manner. The government will consistently support efforts to prevent and eradicate corruption.
And South Africans voiced their outrage after investigators revealed they're looking into corruption related to nearly $640 million in government coronavirus spending. President Cyril Ramaphosa has promised that anyone found guilty will be dealt with harshly. On Anti-Corruption Day, the UN has called on governments to build forward better. That won't be easy. It will require strong anti-corruption bodies, better oversight of emergency support packages, and better protection for whistleblowers and journalists to ensure the best of humanity isn't overshadowed by the worst. Floyd Cush, TRT World.
Shervin Majlessi is Chief of Section for the Corruption and Economic Crime Branch of the UN Office on Drugs and Crime. He says countries need to take more action to prevent corruption.
Countries around the world have made massive financial investments in the public health sector and in the launch of emergency support packages and economic safety nets to offset economic and social consequences of the pandemic, whether they rush out with procurement for medical equipment and PPE or with emergency support packages like direct cash disbursements, short and medium-term forgivable loans and deferment of payments, as well as tax rebates. In all these cases, the pandemic has generated unprecedented opportunities for corruption, often at these times where there is lax oversight and there may be even lower capacity for law enforcement action in countries. Back in April, my office, UN Office on Drugs and Crime, put out a policy brief on accountability and prevention of corruption in the allocation and disbursement and distribution of emergency economic rescue packages in the context and aftermath of COVID-19 pandemic. There are several types of actions that can be adopted. As the UN Secretary General has already said, we are calling for recovering with integrity a diverse range of actors, including members of parliaments, policymakers, anti-corruption bodies, civil society, private sector, and the media have to be involved. There has to be clear, objective, and transparent criteria for the qualification of intended beneficiaries and recipients of assistance. And countries have to account for the risk and vulnerabilities in this area. There has to be clear communication and outreach channels to raise awareness and understanding of beneficiaries, the public. We have to make sure that procurement processes are clean and that there is clear who's getting the contracts. Apart from the bigger risk of corruption, which affects everyone in the society that we talked about, At the individual level, also, there is more opportunities for risk to individuals. Just as people have started working remotely and online, criminals have also turned to working more online and remotely. There is an increased risk of online fraud. We collected some information from G20 countries, and here we are talking about countries with more advanced governance infrastructure. And they reported detecting sale of fraudulent or substandard personal protective equipment, sale of fake COVID-19 tests and treatments, phishing campaigns concealing the identities of companies, charities, and other organizations, and fraudulent use of credit and debit card data and network attacks. And there has been also online scams, including some related to emergency unemployment insurance, designed to defraud victims by convincing them to send money to accounts controlled by criminals.